Good evening, and welcome to the Parent Impact, powered by the National Parents Union. I'm your host, Tafshier Cosby, and thank you for joining us tonight for this episode. As usual, we're going to start by giving some updates from what's happening in the city of Newark, New Jersey, and also throughout the state of New Jersey. So in Newark today, we received data from a report that was commissioned by the McGreedy Research Group. And it was a report that talked about Newark being number one, and that's with traditional public, with charter public, and also our private schools being number one in beat the odds schools. And basically what that means is we graduate a larger percentage of students who actually graduate and go off to college. We have lots of students who are graduating and working. And we have lots of people to thank for that. We have the students to thank for that, for their hard work that they've been putting in over the years to make us number one. And those beat the odds numbers. We have our parents, we have nonprofits, philanthropic associations, community members. So thank you to everyone who works so hard every day in our city to make sure that we can become the number one beat the odds city, and to make sure that we can maintain that number one spot and make sure that all of our students are graduating on time, graduating ready to go to a 4-year college, a 2-year college, technical school, ready for the workforce, ready to live, learn, and earn. So Newark, give yourself a pat on the back for the great work that we're doing for our students in the city. Is everything perfect? No. Do we still have some things that we have to work on? Absolutely. But we can make sure that we at least celebrate the small wins that we're having with the students in our city, and celebrate each other for all the work that we are doing as a collective community. So thank you, Newark. The New Jersey update today is that since our numbers are remaining relatively low for COVID transmission and people who have been affected by the COVID-19 disease, we have lots of new openings that are happening this week across our state. So gyms are opening today. I know all those people who like to work out are happy that those gyms are opening. Things are opening at 25% capacity. So they're not opening to 100%. The gyms won't be full. But I know people who love going to the gym and appreciate going to the gym, of which I'm not one of those people. I'm going to keep it real. But the gyms are now opening so people can go and get their workout on, bring that community commonality that they have as gym lovers together. We're opening up amusement parks. It's the end of the summer, right? It's September the 1st, so that's a little bittersweet that the amusement parks are open. But we know that amusement parks like Six Flags are open until at least October for Fright Fest. So it gives people at least a good 2 months to be able to frequent those amusement parks. Again, still at 25%, not 100% opening, but it's at least an opportunity for people to participate and frequent our amusement parks before they close down for the fall and winter. Also, the indoor dining is actually opening up this week. Friday at 6 p.m. is the time where restaurants will be able to open their doors, have people come in, enjoy dining indoors. There are some stipulations. You cannot eat from the bar. You cannot drink from the bar. You have to be seated at a table. Again, open to 25% capacity of what they would normally have. Also, make sure that there is proper ventilation within the indoor restaurant. So if they have air conditioners, they need to turn it on where air is coming in from the outside to keep the restaurant properly air conditioned and oxygen flowing through the entire restaurant. We don't want people sitting in restaurants with stale air where the COVID-19 disease has the opportunity to fester and get into people's lungs and get into people's noses and really start to affect people. And you also have to wear masks inside these indoor restaurants. So we have come a very long way since March. We know that lots of things have been shut down. So I urge my fellow New Jerseyans to keep up the good work, keep your mask on, protect yourself, protect others. And though these things are opening up, please make sure that you continue to be diligent and making sure that you keep your mask on and keeping your social distance. But we have come a very long way. So I'm very happy that a lot of these things are opening up because folks have missed these things. It's getting almost back to normal, almost back to the normal life that we had before the world closed in March. We know that things are never going to be normal again because now we're living in a new normal, but we at least want to applaud the New Jerseyans who have been doing their part to make sure that we keep this transmission level down and that new people are not being affected by this COVID-19 disease. So keep up the good work, New Jersey. We're all proud of you. So tonight I have some very, very special guests that I want to bring on. A few of our students across the state of New Jersey, you know, it's parent impact, but we also know that what impacts parents impacts students, right? If it wasn't for children, then we wouldn't be parents. That's the reason why we're parents, because we have children. So we want to make sure that we are always keeping students and children and young adults in the conversations that we're having about different things that are happening across our nation. They have opinions, they would like to be asked. A lot of times our youth are saying, you know, they don't participate in conversations because no one has asked them to participate. And they are our future. They are going to be leading our country long after, you know, some of us have gotten old and retired from the fight. They are going to be leading our country. They need to be informed about what's happening. And again, they have an opinion. So tonight we are welcoming some of our young adults and some of our high school students from different towns in the state of New Jersey. So we have some students from Newark, some students from Irvington, and from the city of Linden. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. And tonight we're talking about civil unrest, protests, boycotts, and violence in the United States. So please welcome our youth guests tonight. Hey guys, welcome.
Hi.
Welcome. Make sure you take yourself off of mute.
How you doing?
Hey, how you guys doing tonight?
Hi.
Chris, you're sideways. You gotta put yourself straight. Mecca, you too. Okay, there we go. There you go. Now we can see your awesome faces. How are you tonight, guys?
Good.
Good.
Good to see you guys.
Good.
We'll let you introduce yourself. If you can just say your name, your class year, and the city that you're from. I'm gonna go this way. I'm gonna go to my right. So to my right on the screen, I have Mecca. So please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Mecca. I'm 17, senior in high school, and I currently live in Newark.
Awesome. Thank you, Mecca. Chris? Are you frozen, Chris?
My name is Chris. I'm from Linden, but like I moved to Kenworth in the middle of my junior year. I'm class of 2020. Yeah, I'm 18.
2020, congratulations. Awesome. Layla?
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Layla. I'm 16 and I'm a junior and I currently live in Irvington.
Awesome. Welcome. Thank you, Layla. And now we have a dynamic duo, brother and sister duo here. Introduce yourself, guys.
My name is Cece. I'm 16 and I'm about to be a junior in high school.
My name is Derek. I just graduated high school, class of 2020, and I'm 18.
Awesome. Thank you, Derek. Congratulations, class of 2020. All right, we see y'all. All right, so thank you guys for being here. Thank you for offering to add your voices to this conversation and let people know what's going on, how you feel about what's going on, so we can make sure that you're being heard and that you contribute to the conversation about what's happening in our United States. So you gave us your name, you gave us your city. So tell us how you feel about ending your school year with having virtual learning and having remote learning. So we're going to start with Chris and Derek since they actually graduated this year. So let's start with Chris. Tell us how you felt about having to end your high school career using remote learning, like virtually.
Well, at first I didn't feel, because of, like I was already ready for school to end. I was already ready, and I felt like school was over. I was like, so like at the same time, I ain't like it. I ain't like the virtual school either. Like I ain't like doing work online. I like to do like hands-on things. Like,
in classroom,
yeah.
right? Yeah. Thank you. Derek?
Yeah.
How did you feel about finishing the school year, finishing your senior year virtually?
I mean, finishing my senior year virtually. At first, it was all right. Like, it was all right the first 2 weeks, and then it got real boring. I don't know. I just feel more comfortable being in school and interacting with people. So being home the whole time was just like, it was just different. I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah, and you guys you didn't get to like do things that you would have normally done, senior trips, graduation, prom, those
No,
things were kind of like left out of the equation for what you got to do for the class of 2020.
yeah, it's
Right.
it's all right though. Like, there's still a bunch of parties going on, but that was our senior year. Like,
Right.
that was supposed to be like a big moment for everybody. We all supposed to see each other one last time, but we couldn't really see each other. So
True.
it's all right.
Yeah, a difficult transition. Yeah, I can understand. Definitely. And you guys are very social. So, you weren't really able to do some of the things that you would have done. But we are happy to have you in the class of 2020. We're glad that you made it through. And now you can move on to what's next in your life. So let's ask Cece, how did you feel about having to finish school remotely, having to finish the last couple of months of school remotely?
Well, I didn't like it because like I think it was harder than like the regular school in person because I didn't really understand a lot of stuff they was giving us like to do. So I think that like in person school is better because the teachers can like show you how to do the work.
Yeah, I think you're not alone in that sentiment. I think a lot of students definitely felt that way. Layla?
I actually had a pretty good time with remote learning. I think my school was able to transition very easily from in person to remote. The only thing was that I had trouble seeing my teachers if I needed help with work or like any questions about the work going on. So a few classes were a bit hard. But overall, I felt like I had more time to get my work done, and I felt like I actually did better with remote learning.
Okay, awesome. That was good. And I think that's why we're having this conversation, right? To get different perspectives, to see who fared well, who didn't fare so well, how you felt about it. Was this something that was for you? Thank you. And Mecca?
For me, in terms of like being comfortable, I personally was more comfortable just being aside because I'm more introverted. But like academically, I kind of struggled a little bit in the beginning because during like remote learning, you had to kind of be more accountable for doing your work and be more independent. And I kind of struggled with that in the beginning, but now I'm doing better.
Okay. Okay. That's good. I'm glad. And with almost everybody starting school virtually, right? We know Chris and Derek have graduated, so they're free. They're free from school right now. And the ladies are now going to start their school virtually. I think we've learned a lot from having virtual school, from what happened in March to what's happening in September. I think schools have learned a lot. I think parents have learned a lot. I think students have learned a lot. And I think we can all apply what we've learned to now moving forward to making it better for everyone, making it different. I know it's a lot different for a lot of students. Just making sure that it's better and it's a better environment for the students that have to go to school remotely, because this is new for everybody, every single person. So with so much going on in the world, right? We have civil unrest, we have social justice movements, and we just celebrated the 55th anniversary of the March on Washington on Friday. How do you feel about the social justice movements of the past? Did you feel like they were effective? And which part did you feel like was effective? So let's start with Mecca. I'm going to start to my right. So how do you feel about the social justice movements of the past? Right, I know you've seen lots of videos in history class, seeing people protesting and marching and bus boycotts and things like that. How do you feel about the social justice movements of the past?
I feel like the social justice like movements of the past, they were obviously very monumental, not just for Black history, but like American history. And they were very inspirational, but in terms of like solving the kind of like racial issues overall, obviously it didn't. but I feel like it played a good part in spreading more awareness, because even if like a social issue doesn't like really end the issue that they're fighting for, they do reach one goal, which is making people less ignorant of certain issues.
Absolutely. Layla, thank you. Layla?
I feel like the social justice movements of the past have done a lot to help. Obviously, there's still a long way to go, but they did move us forward a lot. And I think looking back on like all the past marches and boycotts and speeches that people have made, we're able to learn a lot now and take what they did and put it into what we're doing now. And it helps with moving forward with social justice today to look back at what was done in the past.
Yeah. Thank you, Layla. Chris?
Yeah, I think from like the past, yeah, it did make a big impact. I think it made a big impact. And like she said, like we can take it and use it to what we need to do now. Use some of it like as of now, like boycotting and marching and all that. Like we use that now, peaceful protests. All this violence, I think there's no reason for violence. I don't think we should be destroying stores and all that. Like I don't think that's good. I don't think that's good at all.
Right, especially in our own communities, right? Like
Right,
that just tears down our own communities when we
right,
have violence incited in our own streets. Yeah.
right.
Thank you, Chris. Cece?
I agree with Chris because I don't really think they should be destroying people's businesses down, especially because people work hard to like build their business and stuff like that. So I think that like what they're doing today it's not really effective.
Derek?
I mean, I agree with everyone here and what they spoke about. I agree with Chris, CC, Layla, and Mecca. They all made some good points, and we could just run off what we could run with what I guess you could say the people in the past did for us, like the peaceful protests and the marching. But at the same time, we gotta do something else that's real innovative, and that's gonna really get people to like get active and get people like really out here. For, like I guess you could say black folks because obviously we have the artists. So we really have to do something that really get us out here, really get us like, really get us up, like up on these people because right now we losing. So whatever we could do to just like, I guess you could say play off the past and just, I mean, work to like a better future is like the best thing to do right now.
Yeah. And protests of the past and things like that, they passed important laws, civil rights laws, to make sure that African Americans had the right to vote, and make sure that we demolished Jim Crow laws where Black people didn't have to only drink out of certain water fountains or go in certain doors, or so that was the civil rights movement of the past. So we know for you guys that was a great segue there into talking about the movement for the future, right? I was on a call on Friday and we were doing an intergenerational conversation and we were talking about what the young people can teach us, right? What can you guys teach us about how to do a social justice movement? And I said that, a lot of people think you guys are just online, TikToking it up and
Right.
Instagramming it up, just on there like wasting time. But I think you guys can actually show us a lot about how to use social media to be able to move the agenda for social justice forward. So, how do you feel social media has changed the way people organize, and how effective do you think it is for your generation to be able to organize people to action? So, I'm just going to start posing questions to like the entire group. So, anybody who wants to answer, please jump in. But how do you feel like social media has been effective for your generation being able to organize?
I feel as though like social media has its pros and cons because social media can provide you a lot of good and very good information, but it can be false at the same time. Like you never like it's a lot of times you never know if it's true. There's a lot of times you never know if it's false. You know? So like that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, so it can be misleading, right? You have to
Right.
really still continue to do your homework. to make sure that what you saw is true. Yeah,
Right.
I agree. Anybody else want to chime in? Mecca?
Oh, well, I definitely agree with that. That social activism on social media has its good sides and bad sides. Like, for one, it can, like, the information being spread can go, like, not just from local parts, but to, like, it could go to a global scale. But also, social media can, like, spread false information, and it can lead to people using performative activism, because it's easy to just post a link and then go about your day. It takes more effort to actually learn about an issue and understand the issue and actually make a change.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that's a good one. When you're talking about like performance, allyship, and people just like you said, taking that screenshot, posting it on their social media feed, and then they're like, I'm good. Like I'm down with the cause because I posted this thing on my social media, so now I'm good. But they don't actually make any incremental changes to their workplace or to the organizations that they're part of. Yeah, really good. Thank you. I like that. Anybody else want to add to how social media helps to organize?
I just want to add that I agree with everything that's been said. And I also think that social media is very effective, like people said before, in getting information spread around and also helping to connect with other people and other organizations, so that you can actually educate yourself and learn how you can help. Because I know a lot of people out there do want to be allies and do want to help with the movement. So with sharing petitions, sharing ways that you can help, like calling in, sending messages, sending emails, and joining organizations, I think social media really helps with that.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Layla. Derek, Cece, you guys want to chime in here? Like
Um,
social media? Because I know y'all be on social media. Y'all be all over.
they basically touch like every point that I was going to speak on. But just to add on, it does get the message across faster, and it gets the message across on like a more broad scale, I guess you could say. It hits people like that it wouldn't have hit before, like people in like different countries, different parts of the world, because now it's more eye opening. They actually see what's going on. It's not like, oh, they just talking about what's happening. It might not really be happening. Like you can see it. It's like a video on Instagram of a man getting shot. Like man, like he getting pinned on the ground. His like he can't breathe. Like there's stuff like that going on. So it's like you can't say it's not happening. So it's like if you just choose not to participate and don't like pitch into the cause and help us, I mean, it's like that's on you, but we still gonna like prevail at the end of the day. So
That's right. And I definitely think the advent of creating, putting cameras on cell phones, right? That did a lot for showing what's been happening in our communities. I think a lot of people are saying that these things have just started happening in our communities that we live in. Black people being killed, police violence happening to people. But we know that these things have always been happening in our communities, right? It's just now we have the tool and the ability to take that video, take that picture, and then share it across multiple social media accounts and multiple platforms. So, like Derek said, the whole world can see it, right? This is not just happening in the United States. We can now do videos of different countries, showing the violence that's happening there, showing different things that are happening there. And I definitely think with everyone being home for COVID, then people were like captive, right? You had to watch, you had to see what's going on in our communities. And now as a collective nation, we all need to figure out ways that we can be able to solve these problems. So do you think the protests and riots that are happening in some of our cities, the civil unrest that's happening, is having an effect on some of the policing policies? Do you think that's having an effect on policies that are currently on the books for police, or just even the way that police are reacting to people of color, specifically young people?
um, honestly, yeah, because with all the riots going on, there's a lot of like, I guess you could say, impersonations of black people looking like, well, there's a lot of like, what's the way, how can I put it? It looks like black people are doing these things when they really aren't. Like, we're not the ones like, well, most of us aren't the ones breaking into our own stores and burning things down. we're not spraying like Black Lives Matter over the place. We're not doing these things, but just because it's a black cause, it looks like we are. So when a police officer sees a black male or like a black woman in their business, they instantly think of like what's going on in these different like cities throughout the state. So I guess as a police officer, you get that anxiety, you get that like feeling in your stomach and like that feeling in your chest, like, oh, you gotta do something. At the same time, you know, like what's really happening. So it's like up to like the police officer at that point, like if he's gonna be a good cop or a bad cop, if he going really like, I don't know, I guess you could just say play around with you and like just like mess with you, hurt you and stuff like that, or if he gonna really be like somebody like who gonna really like tell you like, oh, don't do this again, blah blah blah, et cetera, et cetera. So I feel like the riots and stuff they do have a big part to play when police look at us. But that's really
Thank you for that. Anybody else want to add? So you think the protests and riots are changing the way police are reacting to young African American?
Yeah,
Um,
actually. Oh, you could go. You could go.
Thanks. In some way, like, I agree that there is change being made and like police are looking differently, but also like with what was said before, with the like most of the protests are peaceful, but with the riots, people are taking that and running with it and trying to make it seem as if like that's all BLM is, just riots, and it makes people not really take this movement seriously. But like I personally would protest peacefully. I wouldn't like go out and riot or do anything violent. But I also do understand with like the black people who are writing, I do understand a bit. It's just like they're letting their frustration out. And a lot of times writing has helped make change. Like, for example, with the Boston Tea Party, like they went and threw tea out into the sea, and then that got Britain to look at them. Like in cases like that, they, I guess, see that sort of rioting as like, oh, how powerful. But then when it comes to our cause, it's how violent. We should get rid of them and not pay attention to them. But yeah.
I like that example. Absolutely, right? When it's okay for other people to riot for their cause, right? It's okay to riot when you're building a nation, but it's not okay to riot 400 years after African Americans have been slaves, and now it's time for us to get our freedom, and that's not okay. Yep, thank you. Anybody else wanna chime in? Protests, policing policies.
I
Okay.
feel.
Mm-hmm.
I got something. Yeah, I feel like it's putting more awareness to like the police departments. Like they're getting more aware like what's going on. And I feel as though like some police departments aren't like forcing it upon like the deputies and all the other police officers that work there. Like I feel like they're not telling them like they're like I feel like they're not training them correctly. I feel like all of them aren't trained correctly for certain situations, especially for the ones like that's been going on recently.
Yeah, because we've seen videos, right? We've seen videos
Right,
of where police can de-escalate a situation in other
right,
communities, but for some reason they don't have that same skill set or tools when it comes to our communities, right? It's
right,
shoot first, ask questions second, but in other communities it's ask questions, it's run away, move away, don't arrest, don't engage, but then it's different in our communities. So have
right.
any of you actually experienced, situations of racism, like personally, right, from police officers or any other people in your community that you want to share? Anything you want to share to what you've experienced in your community?
um
Well,
um not from police officers really, but like mainly with like people I work not work with, but like people I see like while I'm working. Like I might go into like a store or something, I get like racially profiled. They look at me up and down like I'm gonna steal something. Or they look at me like I shouldn't be there and they move away from me, they put their mask on, they grab their bag like I'm gonna take something from them. But it's not even like that. Like I'm not gonna just harass you or hurt you for no reason. You didn't do anything to me. So there's no need for me to act like violent and just act all crazy like the media portrays us to. Like I guess you could say they perceive us to be. Like there's nothing like that going on. So that's just racial profile. That's just like, I guess you could say, being like in fear. But besides that, I haven't really experienced anything major with like racism or anything like that.
Well, I never experienced anything with an officer, but like I experienced something with like an actual person before. So I had went to 7-Eleven one time and I seen this old man, he was walking. So I went to hold the door for him, and like he just stopped walking and wouldn't walk through the door. So I'm like, I guess he's not coming in. So I let the door go. And like another person had opened the door for him and he had went through the door. So I just felt some type of way like, wow, that was racist.
Right.
Like I held the door for you for a good 2 minutes and like you just stopped walking when you want to walk in. So I felt like that was I guess yeah, that was racist to me.
And you were being polite, right? You think like, here I am,
Yeah,
helping out this older gentleman, holding the door for
right,
him. And he couldn't even give me, he couldn't even say thank you. But even if
right,
he closed the door, at least thank you for being courteous enough to hold the door for him.
right.
Yeah, it's those kind of microaggressions that we experience every day. Anybody else want to share a story in school? Maybe something that happened to them in school or out and about.
Well, for me, I've never exactly experienced anything with an officer, and I've never really experienced like blatant racism, more like microaggressions, like little stuff that happens, like even from people from like that even look like me. I've experienced stuff like that. Um, Even like non-black people of color, like I've been in supermarkets where people would like kind of like practically run away from me, like walk quickly. I've walked down the street with my brother before. Somebody did the same thing. Walk like look visibly afraid of us. Um, yeah, just little stuff that kind of like it's not really blatant, but it still annoys you.
Absolutely, because you're conscious of it, right? It's not hidden, it's not secret, right? Like you said, some of those microaggressions, they come at you, and you're just like taken aback. You're like, you can't believe that people would say that or behave that way because you're like, I'm a human. I'm just here being a human. I'm being young. I'm enjoying my life, and having to deal with that on a daily basis of having people react to you like that. I mean, that's just heartbreaking. Think about us old people. How long we've had to deal with having those microaggressions at work and school and different places that we go where we have people say things to us or treat us differently. Even for myself, I have dreadlocks. And even for me working in corporate environments, it was hard for me to even get jobs in some corporate environments because my hair wasn't seen as professional, right? I mean, just the fact that we have to pass a law for Black people, specifically Black women, to be able to wear their hair natural in the workplace, right? I mean, that's definitely something that even in my youth, was problematic. But I think for you guys getting older and living in the space that you live in and being so on top of what's happening, I think you guys are having a lot more opportunities to have a lot more freedom in some of these spaces than we did even in the 70s and 80s. And I think that your activism and your voices are being heard in these communities, and you guys are just not taking no for an answer, right? You're like, we're not stopping. This movement continues. We're fighting. We're organizing. We're voicing our opinions, and we want to make sure that you want to make sure that your world is not the same world that we've lived in, right? You want to make sure that your world is
Right.
different when you get to be my age, which I'm not going to tell, but and I'm glad that you guys are moving in this direction. So let's talk a little bit about celebrities and athletes. I know I have a couple of athletes here on the call. So how do you feel about the boycotting that's happening in things like the NBA and in baseball and tennis players boycotting, right? We had Colin Kaepernick 2-3 years ago who was taking a knee and not everybody was on his side. Not everybody appreciated
Right.
what he was doing for the movement. But now we see something different. So how do you guys feel about that? How do you feel about celebrities and athletes boycotting their games and things?
Um, I feel like is good. That someone with a big voice like that is able to really speak up and really to like really able to speak up and just show their like I guess you can say um they're like they're fighting for the cause basically. I was just like that's really I really appreciate that. But I feel like they could also do more. You have all this money, you have all this power to actually change something, but you just decide to make a post on Instagram or you decide to like I guess do a fundraiser. Like that's cool, but like I feel like there's a lot more you can do. As like even at, like if you're especially if you're a black person, and you're really like a big athlete like LeBron James, people like that. Like I feel like he does enough. He does like enough for like the black community. But I feel like there's always like you can always do more. You can always talk to kids about it. You can always talk to the parents of the victims. You can always do more. So I feel like yeah, there's always more you can do, especially with a voice like that, with a platform like that.
Absolutely. I think he has like 47 million followers on like Twitter or something like that. I think the last time I looked, that's a big voice. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Chris, I think you wanted to chime in here.
Yeah, I wouldn't just say like I think it's good that they're speaking up and putting their opinion out. I feel like it's spreading more awareness. Like by them boycotting, it's causing people to like get more aware. Like, oh, why are they boycotting? They're asking why are they boycotting, then they look into it and they see why. So I feel like that helps a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel
They
like
have
that helps
large
a lot.
platforms. Anybody else want to
Yeah.
chime in? Maybe not the athletes, but celebrities, right? We have a lot of celebrities that have chimed in. Black, white, different nationalities of people chiming in. And we talk about them using their platform to be able to spread the message of social justice and make sure that things are moving, laws are happening, things are moving in the world to make sure that African American people of color have opportunities that they didn't have before, or doors are being opened, right? For places that African Americans weren't able to go before. I think even just having our people of color who are celebrities, even doing something like a boycott. Like I said, 3 years ago, nobody wanted to do this for Colin Kaepernick, right? Everybody was like, they didn't want to touch him. They didn't want to be around him. They didn't want to be part of his platform. It was like, we're going to let him do this on his own. He's no longer playing football. And now we have all these celebrities coming out. And like Derek said, I think they absolutely can do more. So what are some of the things that you guys feel like celebrities can do more of? Not just posting that picture on Twitter, not just posting that picture on Instagram, but what other ways you feel like they can use their platform to be able to help?
I
Um,
oh,
oh,
oh.
oh, okay. Well, I feel like some ways that like celebrities can always do more, especially those ones that have like great amounts of monies, like billionaires. It's like you I feel like I don't know, I just have a negative opinion towards billionaires. I feel like you use like what you have to exploit people, but don't want to use that privilege, that economic privilege and that power to actually make a change in communities. I feel like there's always more that celebrities can do. You have a lot of money, donate some. You have an Instagram account with millions of followers, millions of people watch you on YouTube, other social media platforms, TV. You can always speak out about stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Layla?
Like similar to Mecca, a lot of these celebrities have huge platforms and don't say anything. So the ones that do, I appreciate them a lot. But like I feel like if they focus on their specific field and like get the message out through that field, like say singers and rappers putting messages in their songs, and I like performances, like award performances. I know a lot of singers and rappers like make their performance or like background specific to the issue going on or the issue that they're talking about, or actors pushing to have an episode or a movie about a specific issue going on. So I just think there's a lot that celebrities can do, celebrities, athletes can do because of their platforms and the amount of people that watch them. And I feel like it's honestly like their responsibility to do that. You have such a huge platform, and if you do nothing with it, then it's just, for me, it's just sort of like, what are you doing? Like you can do so much more and then you choose not to.
Absolutely. Especially billionaires, right? They have lots of money. That's why hoard the money, right? You can't take it with you. Like, why not use that money for good? Why not use it to change things that are happening in the community, to change things that you see are not good in the world? Build schools, build hospitals, right? Create more entrepreneurs in the space. Be able to have people mentor people, right? Like, be mentors for the youth. Show them how to get to that point. Show them how to grind until they get to the point where they also can become millionaires, and then they can be able to use their platform and their money to be able to give back to the community and help people who are in need. So speaking of celebrity, we lost a wonderful celebrity this weekend, Chadwick Boseman, and we all found out, and rest in peace and God bless to his family. And he's with our ancestors now, and we all found out what his grind looked like, right? Even after being diagnosed with cancer, making so many movies and making so many movies that touch not just not just people of color, but just touch people all over the world, and that just the fact that he was able to do all those things, even going through surgeries and going through cancer and having all those things thrust upon him, and still having enough strength to make sure that he made the movies that he wanted to make and that he made a difference in our culture. So how did a movie like Black Panther change your perspective about yourself as young African Americans in the world? Like, how did that change your perception of yourself or your perception of men or boys?
For me, it was just amazing to be able to see Black people be put in a main role and see a movie with mostly Black people. There's so many movies and shows in Hollywood with just a cast, just mainly white people. You see like no Black person, no person of color. And it's very easy for that to happen. But I think to have a production like that with mostly Black people in the movie, basically all Black people, it's amazing. And for me, it's just amazing to see Black people in a position of power and put in a role that's seen as royalty. And I think it also inspired a lot of younger people. But it was just amazing to see that movie get so much praise and recognition and like basically break the box office. And I think it also like inspired a lot of other people. And I think it's like had them look at what the entertainment industry looks like today and how we can make a lot of moves to make it more diverse.
Absolutely. I agree. Anybody else want to chime in on that? How you felt about a movie like Black Panther coming out? How you felt about yourself? Black people as a whole, did it make you feel proud? Did you feel like, this is about time, it's a long time coming? And not only was the entire cast Black, a lot of the people who actually were in part of the production of the movie were actually people of color, right? The producer was a person of color. A lot of people who were hired in the back end, people actually making the movie were people of color. And that was something that hasn't happened, in our industry, in the film industry, I don't think ever, where they've had that many Black people part of a cast and part of the back end processes of making movies. Anybody else want to chime in on how it made you feel? I know y'all was all Wakanda forever. I know y'all was.
I feel like it was just a boost of like, it just made everybody feel good. It felt like it was just a boost of like good energy. Like, it just felt good knowing like something like that was possible, that we could do something like that.
Yeah. Exactly. It was just a representation of how we really should be right now, how powerful, how strong we should be all together. It should be like just a big symbol of how Black people, how strong we are together, how intelligent, how smart the women are, our men, how strong all our men are, everything. So it's just a big boost to see like a main character like that get the spotlight for once, and not just somebody of the other skin color. Just like him, like really do like, I guess you can say, like metaphysical things, do things that like we like physically can't do today. So it's just a big boost of just like Chris said, good energy. Just seeing somebody like that do something good for the community, and just watching us all come together was a big thing. Well, for me it was.
For me, the movie was very refreshing for me. I felt kind of tired of seeing movies with predominantly black people that involve like struggle, kind of like struggle movies, movies of people living in no low income neighborhoods involving drugs and gangs and stuff, of economic issues. It's like I don't need to be reminded of my struggle. Like, why can't I see a movie that's uplifting, like uplifting of black people, a movie where black people are seen as strong, intelligent, especially black women. Yeah.
Absolutely. Would you guys move to Wakanda today?
Yeah. I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm gone.
You all would live there, right? I know I
Yeah.
would live there. I would definitely be there. I mean, it just looked like an amazing place to live. But you know, Wakanda itself is while that's a fictional place, right? When we think about the larger continent of Africa and all the countries that are there and all the things that the people are doing there, I think Wakanda showed the best parts of a lot of things that are happening actually in the continent of Africa, right? I think a lot of towns and countries in Africa look like Wakanda, right? Full of black people making moves, making money, being, you know, supernatural, just spreading that black girl and black girl magic all over the place, all over the place. So you know, there are places that look like Wakanda that we can actually go to. So who would you say is your hero right now? Right? It could be in sports, it could be entertainment, it could be a writer, it could be, you know, and just any space. Who would you say right now is someone who you would call your hero? I'm going to leave your parents out of this because we know we are your first heroes. So I'm going to send your parents, right? What person of color right now who you could point to would be someone who you look up to as a hero, and someone who you may want to emulate in your life. We're going to start with Cece because she's been really, really quiet. So we're going to start with you, Cece. Who would you say, other than your mom and dad, would be like your heroes and somebody who you want to kind of be like right now? You know, you like basketball.
I don't even got it here.
Was there anybody that you like, that they do now who you would want to be like in the future?
Um, Not really.
Not really. Okay. All right. Anybody else have anybody that they think they feel like is in a hero space for them, or they would want to be like them when they grow up, or they like certain things that they do and they want to emulate them?
Well, I wouldn't say somebody famous, but I like to say my grandfather. My grandfather, he's more of a like determined. He's a hard worker. Like to this day, like he gets up every morning and tries to get outside, cut his grass. You know, I try to help him as much, but he like to do stuff himself. You know, like he I, that's the thing. Like he's just strong. You feel me? Like he's old, but he's strong. So he doesn't seem that old.
Right. And he's
So I look
somebody
up to
who
him.
might be like later on.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love that. And make sure you tell him that, Chris. Make sure you know, say to him, you know, I appreciate you, granddad. I appreciate your strength.
right,
Give people their flowers while they're still here, especially as old people. We
right.
like to hear y'all say like, you know, I appreciate you, dad. I appreciate you, mom. I appreciate you, you know, grandpa. That feels good for us old people to know that we're doing something right in your lives, and being able to be you know, role models, or just people you guys can look up to and want to emulate. Anybody else want to share? Somebody has got to pique your interest about who you might want to be like.
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
So someone that I've been looking at, especially right now, is Megan Thee Stallion. And mostly just because I feel like since Nicki Minaj, we haven't really seen any powerful Black females in the rap industry, and I feel like she's come in and just like taken over everything. To me, I think like she really like redefines like what it means to be like a powerful Black woman. Um, and I know like especially with all the drama that was going on with like Tory Lanez and all that, a lot of people were giving her a lot of hate, and it was sad to see like a Black woman who people apparently like really liked and like cherished, like her getting beat up on so much. But I feel like she just prevailed and continued to show how strong she was. So yeah.
Thank you, Layla. Becca, Derek.
Um, well, for me, I feel like oh, sorry, my dog, but someone that I've really looked up to for a while, even though they're like kind of like in the center of controversy a little bit, is this rapper named No Name. I feel like she's an example of doing something like good with her platform. Like she has a book club where that has mostly people of color in it, where they read a lot of like informative and political books, and you know, like discuss a lot of things. And she does a lot with her platform, like sharing a lot of information, like pro-Black information. I feel like that's a really good example of some like a celebrity using their privilege to make a change.
I love that. I love that. Thank you guys for sharing. I appreciate that. You know, we don't, as older people, we don't, we don't, a lot of times, I know I don't listen to new rap. Like I can't understand most of what they're saying. So that's why I don't listen to it. But, as a lot of times as older people, there may be somebody who we feel is unconditional, for you guys to look at and maybe emulate or want to be like. But there's a reason why you feel like that you want to follow that person, you want to emulate that person. And there's something about them that makes you connect with them, right? Like I said, No Name, and we have Chris with his granddad, and we have Layla with Megan Thee Stallion, right? There's something about that person that makes you want to connect with them and see their spirit and some good qualities that you want to emulate when you get older, and even now, right? Things that you want to do now that you might want to emulate from the celebrity who's out there being themselves and just spreading around that Black girl and that Black boy magic. I love it. Thank you guys. So last thing, we're almost at time. For anybody who is 17 or 18, have you registered to vote? And will you be voting in the November election? And how do you feel about what's happening with the election cycle right now? Like, how do you feel about things that are happening in politics and how divisive they've been these days? Even if you're not like registered to vote, like, how do you feel about what's happening in our world when it comes to the election in November and politics in general? First, are you registered to vote? 17, 18, I think I got two 18-year-olders and the 17-year-older, right?
Yeah.
Are you guys registered to vote?
I have my paper right here.
All right.
I didn't fill it out yet. Because I didn't know that you can register to vote at 17. My friend just told me like this morning, so that's when I was like, oh, okay, and printed out the paper
Awesome.
to mail. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know you could register at 17 either.
Yeah.
But I'm registered.
Okay. And do you plan on voting in this November election?
Yeah.
Okay. Derek,
Yes.
I know you're 18. I know you're registered to vote. I know your mama. I know you registered to vote. So how do you guys feel about the election? How do you guys feel about this being your very first election that you get to vote in, turning 18?
I feel like this is
prepared? Do you feel like you have enough information about the candidates to make a choice right now? Or do you think
Yeah. I have enough information on the candidates. Just make a decision right now who I would vote for. But right now I'm kind of like stuck in the middle on like, honestly, I just don't know. It's like, I don't know right now. I can't really explain it. But I do have enough information because I have been looking into and Joe Biden and all like the like renegades, everybody, Sanders, everybody. So I feel like I do have enough information. But with the election, how I feel about it, I feel like there's a lot of things that are going on that we haven't really seen or people haven't spoken about that are like really undercover. So it's like that shouldn't be the case if I'm voting for somebody who's supposed to be, I guess, my leader. And in my opinion, I think that we should have another Black leader, somebody who's going to like really lead us and put us in the right direction and going to get us out of, I guess you could say, this new oppression that we live in nowadays. Like it shouldn't be right for, I guess you could say, a person of a different skin color to kill you. Should be walking around going to sleep like nothing happened. Like that shouldn't be the case at all. So we just need a real strong leader, I guess, and somebody who really going, I guess, get the youth get the youth up from like social media is good, but get us off social media sometimes, get us in real life, and really get us doing things, like get us out there, get us more active. That's really it.
Get involved. Use your voices. Yeah, absolutely. Chris, how do you feel about
Well,
voting? This being your first election?
yeah, I feel like it's important for us young people to vote. And I feel like this is a very important election. Like I feel like this year is probably one of the most important elections of them all, in my opinion. I think like I don't got enough information, but I've been looking into it. So like I plan on knowing who I'm gonna vote for by the end of this month.
Okay, that's good. And
Yeah.
are you having conversations with your friends about voting? Like in your
Right.
circles? I
Yes.
know, we're still in COVID, so we have to social distance, but like, are you guys having those
Yeah.
conversations with your friends?
Yeah. My boy right there.
Yeah.
Derek.
Spread the word. Spread the word. Make sure that everybody that you know who's 17 is registered to vote. And Mecca, I'll be calling you because I'm going to lean on you to spread the word amongst your friends as well at your school to make sure that everybody knows that they can register at 17, and make sure that even if you can't vote, even if you're not able to vote in this year's election, that you are at least educated on what's happening, right? You know who the two candidates are, you have more information on their platforms. I think even if you can't vote, that it's an opportunity for you to start learning about the political process that happens in the United States. So then when you are able to vote, you're ready, you're prepared, you know what to look for in the next candidates, and you don't have to go into it blind when you're 18, not really knowing like what the process looks like. You're ready for it. You'll be ready a few years ahead of time. So that is my charge to everyone here who's not able to vote, to learn as much as you can about this process. So when you're able to vote, you can. And for everybody who can vote, make sure you go out and vote. I know you guys personally, and I'm going to be like on your back, making sure that you cast that ballot because it's important. And also, for anyone who's 18, make sure you fill out your census and make sure your parents fill out your census. It's important to be counted. That's money coming to our cities. It's new legislation coming to our cities. And it's opportunity for people's voices to not only be heard casting a ballot, but to make sure that they're filling out their U.S. census to be counted as a people. So thank you so much, everybody. This was amazing. I love to hear from the youth and the young people about how you're feeling about things that are happening around the country. Does anybody have any final words for our viewers, things they want the viewers to know, statements, comments that they want our viewers to know about the youth of today?
I just want y'all to know that we are as ignorant as we think we are, and we aren't just as like I guess you can say like we're not we're interacting more than you think. Basically, even if it's on social media, not in person, we still are interacting and talking, and we still are looking into things ourselves, things that schools don't teach us, things that parents don't want to talk about, things that other like our peers don't want to talk about. We still are trying, I guess you can say, educate ourselves on things we like and things that we find important in, I guess you say, our daily lives and things that are happening in the world. We aren't just sitting around doing anything. We are actually trying to learn and educate ourselves and be better.
Awesome. Thank you, Derek. So you're not just out here TikToking.
No.
Thank you. Anybody else want to add some final words before we close out? Well, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you coming on today's show. I appreciate you sharing with us. I appreciate your voice. We'll have more opportunities for you to be able to share your voice with our audience and then other audiences, larger audiences, where you can have the opportunity to talk about what's going on with you, and really let older people know, that younger people know. And like Deborah said, you're not ignorant to the things that's going on, right? You live in the world. So there are things that are happening to you that you need to speak out about, that you need to organize around, and that you need to talk to your peers about, and also that you need to talk to us older folks about, to make sure that you are part of the conversations that are happening, especially for things that affect you, that affect changes in your life. So please keep speaking out, keep talking to your parents, keep engaging your community, about what's happening, because that's the only way that we're all going to be able to make change together. So thank you guys. I appreciate you for coming by, and have a good evening. Thank you guys.
You too.